Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, being called the Black Trump because he has to deal with 110,000 asylum-seeking immigrants in New York City since April 2022. He says it's going to cost $12 billion to take care of those people. That's a lot of money for just... That seems like too much money. But that's what he's saying. And he's proposing to cut every department in the city budget by 15%. So you really think he's going to cut the police department by 15%?
I believe,
bet he doesn't.
That will be the one that is not defunded.
They are not going to defund the police. They are not going to defund the police.
Especially him. He's an ex-cop, right?
That's right. I mean, you think they're going to defund the...
Didn't he come in because everybody was mad about that idea? Like he's the backlash of that?
But here, listen to the... Yes. But here, listen to The View. This is about The View. Listen to what they have to say about it. Let's watch.
The city we knew we're about to lose.
A little dramatic, isn't it? Seems a bit dramatic.
He's got a flair for drama.
Yeah, but he's been critical of the Biden administration for months. He doesn't get support from the government, he's saying. And the Republicans love this, because this is right up their alley for somebody like a New York sanctuary city to be complaining about migrant problem.
Wow.
So she immediately turns it into a way to divide the country. Oh, Republicans love this. Well, how about Democrats? Do they? What do you?
I don't see what that is. They're so rich. The only thing on this earth they care about is Biden getting reelected.
That's all they care about.
So she lives there.
Yes.
And it ain't going to touch her one bit.
No, I will say this about Joy Behar. I think she's probably the one of the most odious members of that, but she looks fantastic for 80 years old. Does she not?
80? No, I didn't know that.
How old? I think she's 80, right? Hey, Suri, how old is Joy Behar? 80.
Well,
she looks great.
Even though she's sharper than Biden, she's not saying smarter things. That's just like a really overprivileged.
So it gets worse. Yeah. You want to hear what else they say here? So gets worse. So she's upset that Eric Adams is making a big deal out of the 110,000 asylum seekers. He's being dramatic. This is what Republicans love. Oh, wait.
So let me ask you a question. Is he right? Who should take the blame for all of this now? Because there are about 100,000 migrants in New York City right now, and people keep coming. You have to understand, these are desperate people. These are not people who are coming here because they, feel like it. They're not tourists.
No, the majority of them are coming from Venezuela. They're also coming from Africa.
Yeah.
They're coming from war-torn countries and politically torn countries, and they're looking for refuge. And I thought this country, with its big, Statue of Liberty, give me your week, and all of this, is supposed to be the country that accepts people.
Yes.
And I'm disappointed.
Isn't it your tired, humbled masses yearning to be free? I think that's the quote. But anyway, here we go.
I just don't want to pay for it.
Yes.
Let the little people fight. Yeah.
Mayor Adams, I understand that there's a problem. Lawmakers in New York also set aside more than $1.5 billion to aid the city this last legislative session.
How much?
$1.5 billion.
But he says he needs 12.
He says he needs 12, but $1.5 billion is nothing to sniff at. $140 million in federal funding from shelters has already been received. And let's remember that immigrants are a record share of U.S. workers. At this point, 1 in 5 workers last year were born outside the U.S. to parents who aren't American citizens. The share of immigrants in the workforce rose to 18.1% last year. And so immigrants aren't coming here just to play around. They're coming here for a better life.
So she's literally like all of our servants that we don't have to pay that much. That's what that is.
So here it is. Here's the video I was thinking of. Let's watch this.
But frankly, I think we need to find, and we've dealt with this before. I lived in Miami. I was an immigrant in Miami in the 80s. You'll remember when we had the Mariel Boat Lift. Mm-hmm. Yes. 125,000 Cubans came in a matter of 6 months. It puts tremendous stress on a city, on a community, on the social services. They need to be resettled elsewhere. Right?
I was waiting for that part.
What, didn't she just say she was one of those? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she said she was a migrant from a rich plantation that after Castro took over. So her dad or whoever's one of these like Every
Oh,
other these
okay.
countries, there's some rich guy comes and they want our military might to settle their grudges.
Right.
That's what she is. She's Republican.
Oh, okay.
She's
So
a migrant.
so
I
she-
didn't know. They didn't know if they're going to make it. She didn't come on the Mariel Boat Lift. I can tell you that.
Oh, so wasn't part of that. She was already
no.
there.
And by the way, that, as anyone who saw Scarface can tell you,
Yeah.
they emptied out their prisons and insane asylums and put everyone on a boat. And Jimmy Carter called it open arms. And so it wasn't, talk about not sending your best. He on purpose didn't send his best.
Yeah.
And that's how you got Cocaine Cowboys and all those documentaries. That's when the Coke boom and all happened. That's why
Oh.
Scarface is about that period of time.
Oh, really?
It
I
didn't-
witnessed that with my own eyes when I first moved to South Florida, because what they did with a lot of those people is they put them in detention camps, like
Yeah, right.
under like places of
In cages.
I-95.
Yeah.
And I was like, Dad, what the hell is that over there? And that's what they did with all those people.
Really? So let's hear what else they have. So she says her conclusion is they have to be settled somewhere else. So get them out of New York City is what the view is right now. Let's see what else they say.
Need to
Spread
be
out. We're this
spread-
massive
yeah.
country.
Well, and it's only going to get worse with global warming and climate change because people
Oh,
can't live in
shit.
certain parts of this
Wow.
world.
So the
Oh.
views,
That's the only thing it could be.
let's watch it again.
Frankly, I think we need to find, and we've dealt with this before. I lived in Miami. I was an immigrant in Miami in the 80s. You'll remember when we had the Mariel Boat Lift.
Yes.
125,000 Cubans came in a matter of 6 months. It puts tremendous stress on a city, on a community, on the social services. They need to be resettled elsewhere.
They need to spread out. We're this
spread-
massive country.
But, and it's only going to
Yeah, we need to spread them out. It's a massive country. That's what
Wow.
they're. So before it was all ha, shame, finger wagging at Texas and
White
Florida
supremacists.
and white supremacists and people. And now they're in their city and they're like, hey, obviously we got to get rid of them. That's what they're saying.
That's amazing.
Obviously we got to get rid of them because now they came here. We never thought they'd come here.
It caused a real strain. But she left a lot of parts of that out of that story.
Well,
Of the Mariel Boat
Boat
Lift.
ride,
Oh, did
yeah.
it cause a strain? Yeah, and you know what else it caused? A lot of backlash against Democrats, particularly Jimmy Carter. He called his policy a little bit worse than Dreamers as far as PR.
So
He called it the open arms policy, not knowing that it was a time bomb of all the criminals the guy had that he sent here. And then it turned into like everyone had to be armed everywhere they went in Miami. It's notorious for back then. In fact, it probably built the whole city. It's on Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Everything's about that time period.
Oh, wow, you're right.
And it's
Mariel
it's
Boat
direct, result of our foreign policy, which once again is never talked about.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're
Sonny
torn,
talked
but
about all this shit.
who tore it?
those
Yeah.
countries up? Who's stealing those resources?
Exactly.
Once
We've been trying to overthrow.
They're all conscious of it. They're like, yeah,
So-
but if we made these countries a mess, and like they got to let them in. Come on.
Yeah, so this is really this migrant crisis is more of a product of our foreign policy.
Absolutely.
AOC will say so, and then she'll go vote for more war because she's a war pig. Democrats are all war pigs, including Bernie Sanders. And so this is a result of it. Plus, they won't close the border. So as RFK Jr. has educated me in this show, he went down to the border and he found out that what the cartels are doing now is sending out videos for people all over the world.
on TikTok.
On TikTok, from China, Azerbaijan, India. That's where the people are coming from. They get them to Mexico, and then they put them in a bus and they send them right across the border, and then that's it. And so when they come across the border, you know what the Border Patrol does? They ask them, "Do you have any relative or anywhere in this country?" Then if they say yes, they give them a plane ticket to that city, and that's that. And then they give them a court date. Hey, you have to show up for this court date. And of course, they never do.
Well, then they get, of course, extorted and sexually assaulted by the people
That's
that
right.
brought them
And
over.
those people get so the people that exactly right. So the criminals who are enticing them to come here and charge them money to get them over here are also stealing from them and raping them.
I remember watching that, and he said that all of the immigrants in line were pointing to a tree going, that's the rape tree.
The rape tree.
The inverse of the Statue of Liberty, I would call it.
So what I would think is the nicest thing you could do, or the
Secure
most
the border?
humane thing, would be secure the border.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing can't happen. So there isn't that kind of demand, so that cartels don't put out advertisement videos on TikTok trying to get people from all over the world to come here. And so if there was a sealed border, you could probably stop that. Now, a lot of Bernie Sanders used to advocate for a sealed border in 2015. He doesn't do that anymore.
Well, Trump liked it, so we have to
right, because Trump wanted it, but now RFK Jr. he's on board for it. And from what after hearing what he had to say about it, of course you have to seal your border. Of course you do. And then you treat people humanely. But you know what is inhumane? Creating this crisis. And you create this crisis with your foreign policy and with your open borders. And I have a theory here's my theory. Why is Joe Biden not sealing the border? Why wouldn't he do that? Well, I found out that he is now suing to make sure private detention centers, for-profit private detention centers that detain immigrants, be kept private and making profit money. Because we just covered this in New Jersey, they outlawed them, and now Joe Biden is in court making sure that private companies can keep their prisons filled with immigrants making big money. So that's why I think Joe Biden isn't sealing off the border. And they also want a crisis in this country, because if the country's at crisis and there's kind of a quasi-civil war happening, it's easier for the capitalists, a handful of oligarchs who run this country, to keep us divided, and so we don't come together to oppose them. They like chaos. They like the Black Lives Matter riots. They like the January 6th. They like all that. In fact, they instigated it. Who did? The people running the country, because they want to keep us frightened and afraid and not wanting to organize together. This is all part of it. This is my theory. Why else would Joe Biden be going to court, making sure that the private prisons are for detaining immigrants are kept private and profit making against the will of the people? Why would he keep the border open, just an open sieve? Why would all this be happening? They want this to happen. If it didn't, they would stop it. Right now, we're trying to beat Russia in a war, but we can't seal our own border? That doesn't make any sense to me. Does it make any sense to anybody here?
If I understand what you're saying, Jimmy, some good is coming of this.
Hey, notable doctors like Dr. Peter McCullough, who's a friend of the show, he joined the Wellness Company to create real change in healthcare. They offer everything from live telehealth appointments, medical emergency kits with ivermectin, and doctor-formulated supplements to deal with post-pandemic health issues like V injuries and shedding. V. The Wellness Company's Spike Support formula is a natural anti-inflammatory supplement. Spike Support contains a unique combination of ingredients including nattokinase, dandelion root extract, iris sea moss, black sativa extract, green tea extract, and selenium. These ingredients, when taken as directed, have been shown to help dissolve existing spike proteins in the body, block future ones from binding to cells, and strengthen the immune system. If you're worried about circulating spike proteins, go to twc.health/Jimmy to grab a bottle of Spike Support and use code Jimmy to save 15% on your first order. That's twc.health/Jimmy, code Jimmy to save 15%. Now, we don't give medical advice here or anything, and so make sure you talk with your doctor and all that stuff before you set out on any treatment for anything. Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Tampa, Boca Raton, Orlando, Dallas, Houston, San Diego, Bloomington, Illinois, Indianapolis, and Levittown, New York. Wow, that's a lot of dates. See you there.